There is a way to beat Donald Trump and his inbred evangelical sycophants. Even though you can't be a Christian and support Trump, that's just not how it works. As it was predicted in a previous article by Salam, Donald Trump and his sycophants and his sycophantic following are back with a vengeance. Unfortunately, with recent polling showing declining competence in Joe Biden, who's the current president, and surprisingly strong numbers for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's a conspiracy theorist, closet Republican, Biden's only significant Democratic opponent, the political algorithm points for the moment is toward a possible Trump victory, which we do not want. Now, for this reason alone, it is clear enough that these Republicans who stand against Trump now and the sycophantic leaders who have been silent about Trump to this point will ultimately rally to his side. Victory and political power are more important to them than preserving American democracy and following the genuine doctrines of Christianity. So what can be fucking done? As your semi-official evangelical insider, any current pastor to anyone outside the church who is tired of organized religion and willing to accept an authentic, flawed, and failed sinner as minister, have a few thoughts on what to do about these fake God-believing voters. The first thing is to expose the so-called shepherds as the anti-Christians and the anti-American hypocrites that they are. The issues that they choose are supposed to leave them looking spotless of sin as they convince their sheep to hate all the wrong people. It's not supposed to be the church's job to force particular lifestyle choices on individuals. Now, first of all, the theology that has arisen claiming that Jesus would be opposed to the LGBTQ community is incredibly fucking flawed. Now, even if it weren't, the church has no right to declare how a family should be formed. It is a waste of fucking time and resources, and not to mention against the most basic principles of both Christian faith itself and the American individual freedom. There is nothing in the Bible that directly touches the issue of abortion, and it was not part of an evangelical doctrine or evangelical politics until relatively recently. Yet billions of dollars have been wasted to promote this as a core item of the evangelical agenda. Selected passages from Scripture have been used in an effort to control women in American homes and in the American workplace and in American society overall. Now, stranger upon it still, these false leaders have even constructed theological excuses for providing tax breaks to big corporations. Sorry. So they provided tax breaks to big corporations, billionaires, and millionaires. Now, this seems unnecessary, not to mention profoundly unchristian. The Bible is abundantly clear that the wealthy are not God's favorite people, but yet evangelical leaders are going out of their way to help them. I recognize that extracting tithing from a millionaire is more materially fruitful than getting it from a poor person. Did that mean the evangelicals really needed to sell their soul to get in bed with the wealthiest in this country? Looking at the bigger picture here, these core evangelical issues ignores the needs of most of the American public, like the working people and seemingly everyone in need of help, like people who don't make a whole lot of money or in need of help a lot. They are attacks on virtually all people outside the church and are especially harsh on the poor, the sick, the foreigner, and the disenfranchised, effectively on everyone Jesus Christ commanded his followers to serve. Now, the second thing that can be done is that Democratic leaders, activists, and media talking heads should focus on what most people need in their life right now. We want to be seen and heard, and considered good. In the brilliant Netflix show Beef, this idea is strongly conveyed. Hard-working and self-sacrificing people all too often live and die by a code of service, love, forgiveness, and self-improvement, all the while feeling internally angry, depressed, and resentful about the things that they have never achieved in life, and about the sense that the good karma that we have put ourselves into the world has never been returned. Now, politicians are so caught up in these talking points, raising money and winning elections, that most have forgotten the reason that they fucking exist, and that's to be of service. Now, I believe my own story is a fair representation of far too many other stories in this country, and it can be seen as an example of sorts that the leadership needs to be addressed. Now, in my lifetime, I can barely remember a time when I did not have two jobs. I've worked two jobs before, and it's a bitch where you don't get much time to sleep. Now, every job that I've ever worked for, I had poured my heart and soul into every job that I've ever worked, back about 14 years ago when I had my first job, I was delivering newspapers. And like many people in my generation, I believed that if I pursued an education, worked hard, and believed in myself, I could believe in and share in the American dream. And that dream has not yet been realized, and I know that is true for millions of others. Many who have worked harder jobs and faced more difficult challenges than I've ever faced in my life. Um, now, Now, with Generation X, they were the first in this country's history to take a significant step toward backward in economic terms. Basically, anybody who's Gen Z, Gen X, whatever, we don't really have a lot of wealth, and we owe more in student debt and work more hours than our parents' generation did, generally speaking. In all probability, the overall life expectancy will be lower. Our families are far more fractured. The kids are more depressed and with their hearts. But in many cases, I am sorry to say this, and we feel empty of hope. And don't call other people the Minister of Depression for fucking nothing. So millions of working class and middle class people continue to be devastated by personal failures, whether we believe that is their own fault or not. This country cannot thrive economically, spiritually, politically, or in any other way. This perspective is too often ignored by Democratic leaders and members of the media elite. Now, most of the working class feels trapped in a sort of economic and social algorithm. There have been people that worked in education for over 20 years, working primarily with first-generation and low-income students, and the deeply troubled educational system is a perfect example of the failure of political leadership. All the Republicans can come up with in terms of educational policy is school choice, which is essentially a consumerist concept that changes nothing but the system itself. It's an illusory freedom that's falsely branded as libertarian, which is in fact could summarize nearly all Republican policy ideas. Too many Democrats, on the other hand, simply refuse to admit that there's anything wrong with the public school system that budgets cannot solve. In fact, every measurable way our educational system has failed over the last 50 years. It has failed at teaching basic skills of reading, writing, and arithmetic, and has spectacularly failed at reducing inequality. Now, this particular failure includes a dramatic class discrepancy visible to all. If you attend a good school in a wealthy neighborhood, you are overwhelmingly likely to go on to a good college and have a possible rich future. Now, if you go to a bad school in a poor district like Indiana, whether that's a big city or the rural heartland, your future is likely to involve working at a local grocery store or a coal starter if you're fucking lucky. It's time to start listening to the working class, and I don't just mean the semi-mythical white working class who basically mistakenly voted for Trump. It's time to listen to those who lose more than they win. It's time to listen to the people who build your homes, fix your cars, cut your lawns, remove your trash, clean your floors, and deliver your packages to your door. In the ministry, they have a mission of pushing two messages forward, guided by Christian faith. The first of those is to expose religious hypocrisy, because basically, when it comes to religion, it's nothing more than people being fucking hypocrites here. Which I talk about when it comes to articles like these. The second is also to lift up to lift up the voices of the poor, the working class, and the blue collar people of this beautiful country. The secret to a successful and bright future for America is founded in remembering and understanding that people need to be seen and heard. And most importantly of all, to be valued. Now, if the Democratic Party can figure this fucking message out, then Donald Trump will finally be history, and our country can finally turn the page on this dark chapter of the failurous disaster that Donald Trump is. So if you like the video, you can give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RBW King. You can also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. You can also go ahead and leave a comment, let me know what you think. And if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of YouTube. And for just a little as a few bucks a video or a month, your donation can help go a long way, and thanks for listening.